Welcome to Cordkillers, the show about watching the stuff you love when you want, where you want, however you want. I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey, I'm Brian Brushwood. Most importantly, I'm hungry. I'm hungry for the news about what I can consume.
Man, you've been starving yourself all day.
No, for 2 weeks. It's been forever. Yeah. We weren't even here last week.
We were celebrating our labors last Monday.
We were deep in labor.
We were in labor. I mean, it's a weird thing to say, but
true.
Yeah, strange but true. So let's get right to it with our primary target. Anybody who says they absolutely know what's going to happen with theater windows and day-and-date releases is at the very least stretching the truth. It does seem that big-name pictures are settling somewhere around a 45-day exclusive. It does not seem that all day-and-date releases are off the table yet, and it does not seem like the studios have agreed if or when theaters are quote-unquote back. Here's the evidence from the past couple of weeks. Halloween Kills is the second movie in the revival of the Halloween franchise. Like the original revival from a couple of years ago, this will star Jamie Lee Curtis, and it will be put on Peacock the same day it debuts in theaters, which will be October 15th. NBC Universal also did this with the Boss Baby Family Business. They're not doing it with all their movies, but they've done it with these two. Of course, you all probably remember that all Warner titles for the rest of the year, including Dune and The Matrix, will be on HBO Max the same day as theaters, but Warner has committed to stopping that in 2022. However, Disney is saying that it's going to stop now. All its remaining 2021 movies will hit theaters first, including The Eternals on November 5th and West Side Story on December 10th. All of them will have 45-day windows. They'll be in the theaters for at least 45 days before they come anywhere else. Encanto is one exception. That Disney movie will have a 30-day window. This comes after Shang-Chi set the record for a Labor Day movie premiere, not just a COVID record, but an overall record for a Labor Day movie premiere with $75.5 million domestic, and held on to its receipts in its second week. However, not every studio is feeling that confident. Top Gun Mission Impossible 7 moves out of May to September 30th, 2022, and Jackass Forever, which has been running trailers before movies like Shang-Chi, is pushed from October 22nd to February 4th. New Line pushed Mad Max Furiosa from June 23rd, 2023 to May 24th, 2024, though that probably has more to do with the shooting schedule than anticipated box office attendance, because they haven't even gone into production yet. That happens next year. But not everybody's delaying. Bob's Burgers movies finally got a date. It's been in limbo for most of COVID, but it is now set to premiere May 27th, 2022. And the departure of Top Gun led Sony to push Ghostbusters Afterlife from November 11th, which is a holiday weekend, to November 19th. And Sony also moved Venom Let There Be Carnage earlier. They moved it up from October 15th to October 1st. Studios are going day and date again, while other studios are swearing to theater exclusive. Theaters are pushing movies off again, while others are moving them up. Brian, what the heck is happening here?
Dude, look, normally there's nothing I love more than peering into my fortune-telling ball and predicting what the future is going to look like. But the whole world is upside down right now. If I want to speculate about anything, it's about how much directly we can trace Disney's response to the lawsuit from Scarlett Johansson. Like that was a brutal attack from an actor and talent that flat out laid out their grievances, and they instantly have done a reversal. Like I would kill to know the behind the scenes story on that, because of course the smart thing for Disney to do is to pay some amount of whoopsie doodle, sorry a pandemic happened, hush money, and make the actor happy. But instead it's throwing so much asunder, where it's like now there's talk about like the never confirmed but always possible Russo brothers Secret Wars project, maybe off the table, specifically over the way Disney handled this and stuff. It's a bonkers world, and I don't know where stuff belongs, but I know this much. Tom, we 10 years ago made a wish to a genie for day and date releases. And now that we have it, I wish we could unmake that wish. It's a Twilight Zone episode, because now when movies come out, I can either go to the movie theater and be treated terribly for reasons that, involve underpaid staff and understaffed places, or I can watch it at home in heckle vision, where all of my children feel like it's appropriate to just shout out whatever they feel at any random time, coming in and leaving, and dogs and doorbells, and it's awful. Tom, it's awful. We got our wish, and it turns out we've been living a monkey paw existence for 10 years. It finally all came true, and it's a living nightmare.
So if I'm hearing you right, Brian, you want to pay your kids more?
I want it to go away. I want to take the blue pill. I want to take the blue pill, Tom. I want to go back. I understand it's all simulation, but the meat tastes juicy and delicious, and that's all I want. Oh, ignorance is bliss.
I think you're right. If I were to do my Charlie Day, drawing the string from one thing to another, I think I'd have one string going from Scarlett Johansson to Disney's decision. Then I would take another string from Shang-Chi to the 75 million, because I think there was probably a decision of somebody at Disney saying, "Hey, Pat, how much do we think we'll make or it'll cost to fight these lawsuits?" And then, how much did Shang-Chi make? Oh, yeah. Looks like that was enough money. And so our projections of the other movies based on Shang-Chi make it better for us to actually release these movies in theaters, because enough people are going back to theaters now. I think that's the calculus there, right? Is that we've got more than one thing contributing here. And Shang-Chi making a record amount of money on a Labor Day is enough to make Disney decide to change that. Now, they said Shang-Chi was an experiment, which a lot of people, including Simu Liu, took exception to, because they're like, "Hey, man, don't call our movie an experiment." But I think what Disney poorly communicated was it's a test case, right? It's a test case of, if we don't stream it, what do the box office receipts look like? And they looked great.
Yes. And on top of that, I'm going to bet that you and I would both agree that there's no doubt that the whole Scarlett Johansson lawsuit was just nothing but bad PR for them. And that there's probably some number in the millions that, if they had a time machine, they would rather go back and pay to keep Scarlett Johansson happy and keep things going, because like nobody came out smelling like roses after those announcements.
Yeah, that to me is something where it was, we either change the deals so that we don't have to deal with that ahead of time, and that's going to cost this much, or we don't do day and date, and we need to make this much for that to outweigh the option of changing the deals. And it turned out they didn't need to make the change. They just,
well, and it wouldn't be too much for them to, number one, take out literal insurance policies, some kind of a force majeure policy, something that says, if something crazy happens, like the whole world has a global pandemic.
Who's to say they didn't have those, right? That
Correct.
they don't already have those. We don't know enough about all of that, because obviously Universal is like, for this Halloween movie, Jamie Lee Curtis, they're obviously not worried about Jamie Lee Curtis suing them. Apparently that deal will allow them to go day and date and theoretically keep everyone happy. I guess we'll find out, but it's not over yet. It's still too rocky. And like you said at the beginning of this, we're going through unprecedented times. So of course, nobody really knows what to do next.
So here's my question is, as a lot of this content, there's been kind of a sifting of some content where it's like, we just can't hold it back any longer, and other content where it's like, no, this is a marquee, best of breed. Like, for example, the 007 No Time to Die. I mean, that movie was made 4 years ago, and they still haven't released it, right?
It's going to be a period piece by the time it comes out. Yeah.
Exactly, right? There's some kind of sifting. Does that mean there's a sense now, as we go back to the movie theaters, that we're seeing old stuff, or does that not even affect you?
Yeah, it doesn't affect me. I'm curious how much it affects people. I do think about it with James Bond, but then when I saw the trailer for James Bond before Shang-Chi, I didn't think, wow, that looks old. right? It looks fine. It looks like, if I didn't know better, I would assume it was shot recently. So they do shoot these things in a way that keeps them rather fresh. And I think they could do some things with visual effects, et cetera, if they need to. So I doubt that that's a big problem.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit bummed. Like, my gut says and my heart says, I want to see The Matrix in a movie theater. I want to see Dune in a movie theater. I almost certainly will do neither. I will watch both of those at home because that is what is more convenient. And
it's funny. I think I agree with you. I would prefer to see both of those in a movie theater because it's big and loud, and especially both of those movies, they I think they get good advantage from being in a big, loud movie theater space. I have been thinking I'll watch Dune at home, and then if I like it enough, I will go to see it in a theater to get that experience. Whereas The Matrix, and I don't know if it's because of the trailer or it doesn't have quite the history that Dune does, or if it's because it's coming out later, but I'm like, The Matrix, I might just go straight to the theater and see it that way and then watch it again at home because I can.
I mean, part of the reason I'm going to watch The Matrix at home is because I'll probably go frame by frame looking at every scene that has an office just to see if any people happen to like puzzle boxes.
I mean, you can do that. You can do that before or after, right? Seeing it in the theater. Yeah.
Either way, I have a feeling I'm going to see a lot of single frames of people in offices.
A lot of screenshots.
I mean, that's what me as a moviegoer likes to be really into.
Sure. Yeah.
Is,
Easter eggs.
Is there a puzzle box somewhere? How much does this person love puzzle boxes?
Movie. Yeah.
And what kind of puzzle box?
In the end, I think what we're seeing in all these stories is 45-day window for the big movies. Like your blockbuster movies are no longer 90; they're 45. That seems clear. We might have some.
That also seems, and it's not my place to say this, but it also seems fair, right? I think that inertia would have had us holding on to that 90-day window longer, but nowadays just everything revises faster, and so it seems fair.
I think it's clear also that with big movies we're not going to see day and date. That the studios have realized that what's better for them is the 45-day window. So we're not going to see a lot of big day and date. So for sure, we're going to have big movies, 45-day, no day and date. For sure, we are also going to see more movies go straight to streaming, as every major studio has a streaming platform, and even the not so major studios have deals with streaming platforms. So some movies that would have gone into the theater in the past will go straight to streaming. We've already seen that even before COVID, and that's definitely going to happen with certain romantic comedies, niche films, etc. What I wonder is, will we see any actual day and date theater movie releases that aren't Netflix doing it because that's the way they do it, right? Will anyone be okay with this is the kind of movie that's okay day and date? I don't know.
Two strong opinions. One is that no, we will not. I think unless there's another terrible global event. But the weirder part, the part that really shocks myself to say this out loud and to reflect on this is I'm glad. I don't know what is magical about having a cinematic release and having it not be available immediately on the television. I don't understand it, but here I stand 10 years into our experiment saying, yeah, I don't love it. I wish we hadn't wished for it.
Yeah. I think it's a lovely option, and we'll see how I feel about Matrix and Dune once I have the option at a time when I suspect I might feel like it has nothing to do with COVID, whether I'm choosing the theater or not. Then again, it's winter. That time may still be pushed off, but that's what I'm waiting for personally, is when I'm no longer including COVID in my calculation, right? At all, like even a hint of concern. And if I had day and date access, what would I do? I think most of the time I'll go to the theaters, but not all the time. So I think you're right, though. I think we're not going to see it. except, like I said, for Netflix.
And the weird part is, I don't think in our heart of hearts we really want it. This is a really good moment to remind everybody, cordkillers@gmail.com is where you guys can write and chime in on this.
Because even if we don't want it, you may, right?
I may have just spoken some heresy just now. And if so, then I hope that you will forgive us.
I definitely have friends who are like, yeah, no, day and date, I'm never going back to the theaters. So yeah, I want to hear from them too. We would also like your money. But we're asking nicely. Please give us your money. Patreon.com/Cordkillers. It's the only way the show happens, is your funding. There's no other way. We have another way to get the computers that run the show, but they're used for lots of other stuff by Brian. The only way this show happens is Patreon.com/Cordkillers.
Yeah. And when Tom says we are asking nicely, this is a new bit we're doing where Tom asks nicely. I don't ask so nice. I think your face is ugly.
Brian,
I think I'm gonna.
There's only so much I can do to hold Brian back.
Yeah, you better give us just $1 an episode.
Listen, it's just $1. We can settle him down, right? Like, come on, is it that hard?
Yeah.
Like, I'm on your side, but Patreon.
We're playing good podcast or bad podcaster.
Patreon.com/Cordkillers. Let's talk about how to watch. This was a big piece of news that broke in the week off that we had. LowCast, the nonprofit service that streams locally broadcast channels over the internet to people geolocated in the broadcast area in order to provide those without good signal reception a way to get local broadcasts, has gone off the internet. Major broadcast networks in the U.S. get paid by cable and streaming companies to carry the local channels: ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC. And so those four networks jointly sued LowCast in July 2019. We talked about it on Cordkillers. They said, you're retransmitting our programming without a license. To catch those up who didn't follow this story with us, LowCast justified its operation under a 1976 law that grants nonprofits the right to retransmit within the broadcast area. Like I said, that's what LowCast was doing. If they receive no commercial advantage and do not charge users anything more than what's necessary to defray the actual and reasonable costs of maintaining and operating the secondary transmission service. So no commercial advantage LowCast met. They weren't operating another service. Cable companies couldn't do this because it would be a commercial advantage to their other cable service. But LowCast was like, that's all we do. No commercial advantage there. The law was meant to help improve accessibility for people who lived in areas with poor reception. Maybe there was an apartment building blocking the reception, or a mountain valley that's in the broadcast area but just wasn't getting good view of the signal. U.S. District Judge Lewis Stanton granted the network's motion to dismiss LowCast's defense a couple Wednesdays ago. The judge ruled that LowCast had been using donations from viewers to expand into new markets, which was not strictly for local operation, which he felt violated the necessary to defray the actual and reasonable costs of maintaining and operating the secondary transmission service. He's like, you're using this money to start a business somewhere else. You can't do that. You can only use the money for the transmission in the area itself. Justice Stanton also denied LowCast's motion seeking summary judgment that it qualified for the exemption. At first, LowCast responded by removing the interruptions that asked for donations, and then Thursday morning it announced it would suspend operations immediately. LowCast could still appeal the case, but we haven't heard that they're going to do that. LowCast said it had more than 3 million users. It offered the service for free with interruptions every 15 minutes asking for a donation, and a $5 a month donation got rid of those interruptions, although they did let users plead financial difficulties to have the interruptions removed for free. And some companies, including AT&T, donated to LowCast and even integrated the service into their own. But $4.37 million of LowCast's $4.52 million in revenue came directly from users. That AT&T money did not even make up close to the majority of what LowCast was making. But like Aereo before it, Brian, LowCast is no more.
So there's two threads we can explore. One is the angry thread. Like, LowCast played by all of the rules. I mean, they couldn't have done more to. I mean, they play by all of the rules, and they still got shut down by the man, whoever the man is. But also the other thread is, who cares? These are two I don't know, two vultures arguing over a corpse, you know? It's like it's the dumbest thing ever, and I have contempt for everybody even acting like this is a buffet when it's not. It's a dead deer on the side of the road and nobody cares, and you shouldn't. So I guess I'm angry in either way. Which of those resonates more with you, Tom?
You know, the dead deer on the side of the road just leads us back to the person saying, yeah, sure, it's a dying model, but we have a dearth of local content. And this is one of the few places to get local content, as the internet has globalized everything, not even just nationalized, but globalized everything. And you do need local content for emergencies. And I could bring up, like, when the fire happened 2 miles from my house, I was on Lowcast using it to watch KTLA and other local coverage of what was going on there. So, you know, that's where you go with that side of the argument. The angry side of the argument, I think that's certainly the more common response. Is like, gosh darn it, the big companies have squashed us again. But honestly, the answer to both of these is we need something else. And a lot of local broadcasters will stream for free over the internet. A lot when there's like when there's a breaking news item that needs to be more standardized. We just need to finish the transition onto the internet, basically, and then LowCast wouldn't be necessary. We haven't done that. We kind of let the important local things behind as we wait for the slowly deflating balloon of cable and broadcast television to finally deflate all the way.
Well, and I suppose I'm just a bit befuddled as to when everybody toasts their martini glasses, they're like, we finally did it. We stopped the dozens of dollars that somebody might have theoretically made retransmitting our local programming. Like it's very weird for me.
I've got an explanation for that, which is it's not how much LowCast was bringing in, $4.2 million, $4.3 million. It's the precedent. The national broadcasters, ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, they all knew if we don't fight this, more people will do what AT&T is doing. More people will start incorporating this, and then we won't get any retransmission fees. Now, granted, retransmission fees are a dying breed, but they're not dying this year. They're not dying next year. That's a lot of money for the next few years that they didn't want to just see, disappear in a puff of smoke. So they went after LowCast not only to stop it, which they did, but also to reduce the impulse of companies saying, well, maybe we'll just integrate LowCast into our service. Companies were like, there's that lawsuit. Let's wait and see how that works out.
It's just such a bummer because, I think it's fair to say that back in the days of the Aereo case, in general, we were on board with what they were doing. Yes, it was a kludgy, very bizarre Rube Goldberg device that was designed to be technically within the confines of the law, but also it had problems in that one of the cases against Aereo was that, hey, look, you could call them individual tiny antennas, but when you put them all in a grid like that, that's one big antenna that you have because they all affect each other or whatever. LowCast truly did cross all its T's and dot all of its I's. It did everything right. It was pure in a way. It was pure and simple in a way that Aereo case wasn't. And it just bums me out that they still got squashed. And and it's not for any other reason than because they could. Because the big guys could do it. And the big guys did it for no other reason than because, well, we're not even worried about you, LowCast. It's just that, if we don't kill you, then, who knows might come next for us. And it's like, it's just dumb. I'm very upset about it.
And I really wish, I think the thing that's getting lost in all of this, and it's perhaps getting lost by the system as much as it is by people talking about it like us, is there's a demand for this. It may not be a huge demand, but there's a $4 to $5 million demand for this. People were willing to pay money that they didn't have to pay. You could watch it for free with interruptions. They're kind of annoying, but you could watch it. And people are like, no, you know what? It's worth it to get rid of those interruptions. I'm watching it enough. Yes, I could put up an antenna, but I would rather have this. It would have been so much better if the broadcasters had said, you know what we should do? We should create, like we did with Hulu when we took out YouTube, we should create our own version of this, because we own and operate channels and we have great relations with other channels and even independent channels. If they had just run LowCast out of business, honestly, I'd be happier, because then I'd at least have an option for this service. Because what they've done, I think that kind of rubs us both the wrong way, is they ran a useful service out of business and there's no replacement for it.
Yeah, and here's the part that really gets me wound up is, tactically speaking, purely from a Machiavellian perspective, that's the right move for them to make, is to run out the clock. And we've talked before where it's like, they're going to say a bunch of words that they don't mean, but really what all this is we're running out the clock for our shareholders until we get our thing and we figure out what the next wave is going to be. Oof, it's frustrating.
And there really isn't a good strategy for where local broadcasts, the local broadcasts that you do want, where those go. That needs to happen as well.
Yeah.
So if you've solved that, cordkillers@gmail.com. Let us know ahead of time. That'd be great. Let's talk about what to watch in Under Surveillance.
Not like real estate. It's all about location.
Under Surveillance.
A trailer for The Matrix Resurrections broke the internet, as the kids say, showing a very John Wickish Keanu Reeves as Neo. He apparently doesn't even recognize Trinity anymore. He's in therapy with Neil Patrick Harris. Of course, The Matrix comes to HBO Max in theaters December 22nd. And as Brian mentioned earlier, you're going to want to look at the movie frame by frame.
All I know is I hope there's some character in an office who loves puzzle boxes. That's just what I look for in movies.
Aside from that very unique take on this movie, are you excited about this in other ways?
Yes. Mainly for the possibility that a man might be standing or sitting in an office, and among his various knickknacks may or may not be a puzzle box.
I found it crazy how excited people seemed by this. I saw the excitement before I saw the trailer. So I was like, oh, wow, people are, they're taken to it. That's interesting. Then I saw the trailer and I was like, yeah, it looks great. It looks like the sequel to The Matrix, right? Because people generally have lower opinions of the other two sequels. And Eileen could not get past that. She's like, man, did they just not want to cut his hair because he was shooting John Wick at the same time? Like, he doesn't look like Neo. He looks like Wick.
To be honest, the vibe it was sending off was closer to like an Animatrix anthology kind of thing to me, and which I'm 100% all in on. If even if that's all it is, as a denouement or as an echo or a an offshoot, a shard of what the original thing was. That all of that sounds cool.
Yeah. And it looks great. Like I said, might see it in the theater first. Depends on how I feel on December 22nd, I guess. Disney Plus released a trailer for the upcoming series Hawkeye. It includes a reference and a scene from Rogers the Musical. And it's very Christmassy. It's the most wonderful time of the year, playing throughout the whole thing. Lots of trees, and Hawkeye just wants to spend time with his family for Christmas. And of course, as we all knew, he teams up with Kate Bishop, played by Haley Steinfeld. And this begins streaming November 24th, just in time for the holiday season, Brian.
My favorite part about all of this was that when you wrote the summary, it says Rogers, and I was like, oh, he must be talking about Steve Rogers. And I watched the entire thing twice, looking for any kind of Captain America in there, and did not find any.
Is it Captain or yeah? No, it's Rogers. They call it Rogers the Musical, right?
Oh, I don't know. I was thinking of Steve Rogers, Captain America.
Yeah, there's a Captain America musical shown in the trailer. Did you miss that?
I guess so. I guess I did. I was looking for actual, I guess I'm not familiar enough with the musical.
There isn't an actual musical. This is an in-universe thing.
Dang it. All right.
There's
now I have to watch it a third time.
There's a scene where he's outside of a theater and it says Rogers the Musical. I just double checked to make sure I had it right.
Yeah.
And then at one point there's a real quick shot of a bunch of characters on stage, one of them dressed as Captain America singing.
Totally missed it. God, I'll watch it a third time now.
It is certainly not the most important part of this trailer.
Yeah, it is to me. It matters to me, dang it.
But what did you think of the rest of it?
It's fine. Hawkeye's, I've never been much of a Hawkeye fan. that goes for both the comic books and for the MCU incarnation. So a whole series dedicated to the guy I only half care about, that in the Marvel superheroes role-playing game, one of his superpowers is that he has bad hearing. That I continue to feel exactly the same.
I'm sorry, what?
About that guy. Yes.
I actually really like Jeremy Renner's depiction of Hawkeye. I'm in for a little more Jeremy Renner. They show him in a tuxedo at one point in this trailer, and I thought, maybe
he'd be an
he's
okay
up for
Bond. Yeah.
That'd be kind of fun. Also, love Haley Steinfeld. She's amazing in Dickinson. She looks like she's going to be super fun in this. So I'm even more there for Kate Bishop than I am for Hawkeye. On Star Trek Day, we got lots of Star Trek news. Go figure. Here's the recap. Star Trek Discovery lands November 18th on Paramount Plus. No trailer, just the date. A trailer was released for the animated Star Trek Prodigy series. That's the one where there's a virtual Captain Janeway on an abandoned ship that 4 young aliens commandeer and start taking out for adventures. That's coming October 28th. Star Trek Picard was approved for a 3rd season, even before season 2 comes out, and a season 2 trailer was released. It has appearances by Q and the Borg Queen, who has been recast. There's some time travel happening, which of course happened in the movie with the Borg Queen. That returns in February, no exact date. And a teaser was released for Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which will feature Captain Christopher Pike in command of the Enterprise and missions prior to the ship being taken over by Captain Kirk. As in the original Star Trek pilot that these characters are based on, there will be a Captain Pike. Number 1 shall have a name in this. Spock, who was in the pilot and in the original series, and Dr. Mbenga was the doctor in the pilot. He will be in this Strange New World series. They've also added Cadet Uhura, adding to the canon that Uhura was on the Enterprise before Kirk, and Nurse Chapel will be a character on this, along with some other characters that have never been referenced before. No date on that one yet. Does this and or anything else we mentioned here prove to be of interest to you, Brian?
I was actually going to ask you the same question. Of these, which of these excites you the most? The more I think about it, the more I think it's so funny, because what I really wanted from Star Trek Picard, minor suggestive spoilers for season 1, is the way they deal with his condition involves him, becoming a part of the ship, and the ship becomes, the USS Picard or whatever. And yet that's pretty much the exact move they made with Captain Janeway in this case. Now, I'll put up with it being animated or whatever, but I don't know. What of these ideas sticks out to you and excites you the most?
Yeah, I mean, I'm enough of a Star Trek fan to be excited about all of them in some way. Strange New World, I think, is my favorite, the one I'm most excited about, because Anson Mount did such a good job as Pike. It's another ship going out on adventures in a serialized format, which I kind of wanted Discovery to settle into at some point, but I don't think it's going to. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about adding to the lore and, seeing Cadet Uhura and all that. That can be fun. My only regret with Strange New World is it's old. It's backstory. It's locked into a period of time where they can't do a lot. On the other hand, Star Trek Prodigy has lots of upside. They can go anywhere because it's animated, and you don't even have Federation crew. So that could be great. The fact that it's Nickelodeon might limit it, maybe. So we'll see. Also, it's animated. Live action is always just a little cooler looking when they do it right. And then Picard, I love going back to the Borg Queen. I love the idea of Q showing up and pretending to be old, because it makes Picard feel better, and that hides the fact that John Delancey's actually gotten older over the years. I kind of don't love that they're going back to the 21st century, and it's like, oh, that certainly saves you money on sets, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But we'll see. Maybe they get creative enough to justify it.
I mean, I too remember Battlestar 1980.
Oh my gosh, I hope it's not that bad. But yeah, whenever they do a time travel episode in Voyager or Deep Space Nine, I'd always be excited by the premise, but the look was always a little disappointing because they always went back to now, whenever now was, right? And it's like, oh, okay. I guess in Voyager they went back to the 21st century when it was being shot in the 20th century. but it just kind of looked like a dirtier 20th century at that point. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
See what they do. And finally, Roku announced its highest profile original movie yet, and one not based on a Quibi property it acquired, coming during the holiday season, Zoe's Extraordinary Christmas, picking up after the events of the second season of the now canceled series. Found this to be an interesting move by Roku, Brian, not so much because I'm a fan. I've never watched Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, but taking a beloved franchise that many people feel was canceled too soon and not exactly saving it, but giving them more of it.
That's a big play for Roku to make, especially I think it's an especially important move for them to make, because if they don't do something to become something else, then they're on track to fade away. Because right now what they are is, remember when we used to need boxes to stream our content. And so what Roku, the company, the brand, needs to do is figure out how to avoid that dissolving into the ether.
They've got the infrastructure there because they're an operating system for televisions, and the Roku channel is available without having to even have a Roku device of any kind. But you need to compel people to want that.
Correct.
And so
or at
these are
least
the kinds of moves
to
that
quote unquote go to that space, whatever that space is. Yeah.
Install that app or do that thing. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. A few other notes here. Amazon released a trailer for the Wheel of Time series premiering November 19th. Netflix announced Narcos Mexico will end with season 3. Netflix released a trailer for Red Notice starring Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot coming out November 12th. I'm actually kind of excited about this. It looks like a dumb, fun action film with 3 great actors. Apple TV's Dickinson will end with season 3. I'm looking forward to that too. And apparently she fights in the Civil War. New episodes of Cops will come to Fox Nation's streaming service starting October 1st. It last aired on the Paramount Network in June 2020. HBO had announced Succession was returning in October. It has now set the exact date as October 17th. And Amazon, according to Variety, is developing a live-action She-Ra Princess of Power series.
The two things that pop out at me, I don't know what to make of the Red Notice trailer, because I watched all of it and I just squinted. Like it was as though I was looking at let's say a Hello Fresh box or whatever. Like, I know there's a good meal in there. Those are definitely all the ingredients of a meal. What I'm seeing doesn't look like a meal. You may not like it. That's the thing. Like this appeals to the part of me that likes Fast and Furious, skyscraper, those kinds of movies, which I don't think are your ball of wax. But also I'm open to that, especially in the case where, let's say you're able to, give me 2 words I don't expect, like time travel or black holes or whatever. But in this case, it's just like, I just feel like I'm looking at ingredients and not any version of the story. But again, that's, maybe that's
I'd look at it going like Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne Johnson, and Gal Gadot. I love every single one of them.
I love all of these ingredients. I'm agreeing with you.
Hold on. What I'm saying is, and this, I'm not trying to sway you. I'm saying when I look at it, I'm like, watching those 3 people for a couple of hours, great. You don't need to do anything. You don't even need to cook it. I'll eat it raw.
Yeah, there are certain, if you let me pick 3, if you let me pick 3 different actors, I could be in that same place where it's like, all you need to hear is Jack Black, Brad Pitt, and
Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer Lopez, sure.
Yeah, obviously for you.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about what we've had our eyes on. Brian, I'm so excited you're watching Harley Quinn.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe that we've not spoken more about it, given how much I'm loving it. The final nudge was my 13-year-old daughter. She said, "Dad, I will wake up early tomorrow before school, a half hour early, just to get you to watch 5 minutes." I've never fallen in love with a show faster. The first 10 seconds of Harley Quinn has the line on a yacht where a guy says, "My fellow whites." Let us have a toast to this giant mountain of money that we made the old-fashioned way by effing the poor. And I was all the way in.
Of course, we have to credit Meryl Barr, who is the one who first advocated us both to watch Harley Quinn. And it became a lot easier once it came to HBO Max. But the woman who voices Poison Ivy is also voicing Captain Marvel in What If.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I can't wait for a new season to come out.
It's smarter than it needs to be, and is it punched up. You could tell, like if there were 3 seconds of real estate that wasn't perfect, that somebody took the time to how do we plus this? How do we get let's use the whole buffalo. Yeah.
Yeah, so good, so good. I've been watching Only Murders in the Building on Hulu. That is the murder mystery podcast-based story. There's not a podcast involved, but the 3 characters decide to start a true crime podcast because there is a murder in their building that is ruled a suicide, but they suspect there was foul play. Tina Fey plays a famous podcaster. There's some great, podcast specific nudges in an episode that she's in. There's a lot of podcastery going on in every episode, which, I find amusing. It's the NPR type of podcast that they're talking about, but it's still super fun. And talking about 3 great characters, it's Martin Short, Steve Martin, and Selena Gomez. Now, Selena Gomez, I'm more of a fan of music, frankly, but she works so well against those 2. Those 2 are genius. And I don't know if they did this on purpose, if it's her choice, or if it's just the way she is. But Steve Martin and Martin Short, very animated, very dynamic. Selena Gomez plays it like this.
Very deadpan.
She's just very deadpan, and it just works. It undermines their enthusiasm every time. She comes off as, I don't know if she's supposed to be like an older Gen Z or a younger millennial, but somebody who's just like, no, what you're doing, no. But they all love the same podcast, which is how they bond at the beginning, and then all decide to start solving this murder. Honestly, it's not one that I think about a lot when I'm not watching it. It's not that level of good, but it's enjoyable, and it's only around 30 minutes. So it never feels like an imposition of my time, and it's a good way to spend a half hour.
Cool.
That is Only the Murders in the Building on Hulu, Harley Quinn on HBO Max. Don't forget, folks, we're always looking for your suggestions. Bryce will be back next week, and if you got something he should be on the lookout for, be sure to email us, cordkillers@gmail.com. Brian, as I mentioned earlier, we don't have ads, but we do have computers.
What we have are friends, Tom. Friends who have supplied us with the computers that run this and many other shows. We're talking about our friends over at doghousesystems.com/rogue. Use promo code ROGUE at checkout. You'll get an extra bonus something. More importantly, you'll be helping us slowly work off the eternal debt that we owe them for keeping us equipped with all of the firepower that makes this fully armed and operational cord killing station work.
You may cut the cord when ready. All right, let's move on to the front lines.
Front lines.
Amazon did it. They released their own brand of TV running the Fire OS smart TV system. The Fire TV Omni series includes always available voice control. They've got that far field mic array, 4K Ultra HD, HDR10, HLG, and Dolby Digital Plus support. There are 43, 50, and 55-inch models that range from $410 to $565, and 65 and 75-inch models that include all of the features of the smaller ones, plus Dolby Vision. Those are $830 and $1,100 respectively. All the Omni models include picture-in-picture for smart home cameras, and if you got a Ring doorbell, it'll automatically show up when you ring it. That's a Fire OS thing. A smart home dashboard's coming later this year, and you can use your existing Amazon Echo speakers as additional speakers. The Omnis do not support HDMI 2.1 or 4K at 120 hertz, but they're nicely priced. If they're still too expensive, though, Amazon announced the Fire TV 4 series. That puts the voice control in the remote. Those are available in 43, 50, and 55-inch models, ranging from $370 to $520. All these models, the Omnis and the 4 Series, are set to ship in October, available on Amazon, of course, as well as at Best Buy. Non-Amazon branded Fire TVs are on the way from Pioneer later this month, and Toshiba has models with that same far-field mic array that the Omnis have coming next year. And if you're happy with your TV, there's the new Fire TV Stick 4K Max that supports Dolby Atmos, Wi-Fi 6, and uses less power, has an Energy Star certification. That's $55, shipping October 7th. And if you just like Fire TV as it is, but want a few new features, they announced that the TikTok app that was available in a couple parts of Europe is now available in Canada and the U.S. Later this year, you'll be able to access Netflix's Play Something feature on Fire TVs, or get movie and TV show recommendations by your voice.
Holy cow, that was a lot.
Yep.
All right, so that we're going to do double time now. CNBC sources believe that Amazon is the leading contender to get the rights to the NFL Sunday Ticket package that DirecTV will be losing in 2023. Sunday Ticket lets subscribers watch all out-of-market NFL games on Sunday.
Big get. Amazon has
huge.
Thursday Night Football now. If they got that too, they would be in good position. Hulu is going to raise the price of its streaming package by $1. All users, new and old, starting October 28th. Ad-supported Hulu will then cost $5.99 a month. No ads will cost $12.99 a month. But if you get the bundle, the one with ESPN Plus and Disney Plus, price not going up there.
That seems smart and responsible for them to do. And also, it's a number that none of us are ever going to feel or notice. And
it's the principle of the thing for some people. I get that. But yeah, it's not one of these huge price jacks.
Yeah.
They're going to have to raise prices every once in a while. So yeah.
Warner announced a fan convention for Game of Thrones will be held at the Rio in Las Vegas. That's an all-suites hotel casino on February 18th to 20th in 2022. The weekend event will include the usual cosplay, autographs, and panels. Tickets are not yet on sale. I kind of dig the idea of some version of essentially a Dragon Con-esque experience in Vegas, which I hadn't really seen before.
Yeah, this is Warner deciding Game of Thrones is big enough to be Doctor Who. Doctor Who has its own convention built around Doctor Who fandom, and why wouldn't Warner just get in on that and run it itself?
Well, especially because these are going to become self-generating hype machines for the various prequel series that are coming out.
Absolutely. Apple released its original movie On the Rocks from Sofia Coppola. That's the one that stars Bill Murray and Rashida Jones on Blu-ray and DVD. It's not the first streaming movie to come out on Blu-ray or DVD, but it is, I think, the first Apple TV movie to come out on Blu-ray and DVD. The movie's part of Apple's partnership with A24.
And HBO Max will launch in Europe on October 26th in Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Finland, Spain, and Andorra. Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a real place. 14 more countries will get it in 2022.
To the Andorrans. We know you're real.
UK, Germany, and Italy will not be getting it because of existing deals with Sky for HBO Originals that runs through 2025. Look, TIL. I get to be...
Today you learned there's a place called Andorra. Yeah, your map just got bigger. Your world.
The world just got bigger.
Yeah. That's cool. And I think it's interesting that 2025 is when Universal and Warner start having their little spat over content going away from Sky and showing up on HBO Max Europe. UK will finally be able to say, we're finally getting HBO Max. Germany and Italy the same. So keep an eye out for that. Let's go to the dispatches from the front. From a minor boss, more senior coworker, Mike. Mike, there's no minor boss. You're a boss all the way. Mike says, hello all. I've been a subscriber for many years now, and Hulu has always and continues to be to me a place for me to catch up on network shows. I pay for the ad-free tier as well. Disney Plus suckered me in pre-launch with a $150 3-year prepay special, so those two services live separately in my mind. As soon as Hulu loses the ability to give me the large library of content, read all network shows a day later without ads, it will go from being a must-have to an activate when Handmaid's Tale comes out.
Yeah, I believe he's referencing, I think 2 weeks ago I was musing about how if I was asking whether or not Hulu was essentially becoming adult Disney Plus.
Right. Certainly that's the direction it may be headed. But yeah, what Mike's saying is, if it does that, it's going to lose me.
Chris went back to the theater for the very first time since the pandemic started, and it was glorious. Black Widow was not among his favorite MCU movies, but it was among the more memorable movie-going experiences. The theater, part of the Bowtie Cinema chain, and their regular concession stand and premium bar open for business was as usual. No app-based nonsense. Went on a weekday to see a matinee. Thank you for flexible remote viewing. And he says there was only one other person, so he felt safe the entire time while he was enjoying his popcorn. He just wishes there was more movies, and I agree.
All right, well, let's hear from Sean's concession experience. A local independent theater with the best popcorn eliminated refills on larges, but otherwise, no service disruption. At the Marcus chain location, we have a 2020 popcorn bucket. We can get refills for $5. Where it used to be a fill up of the bucket between a medium and a large, it is now a bag. We are handed a large, clear garbage bag filled with popcorn. Think bigger than a bathroom trash can and smaller than kitchen trash. Even better, they can agitate the popcorn after adding butter several times, making it more delicious. Otherwise, pickup of food and ordering is just like before. At the chain, I think you can app order, but why go through the trouble? We also no longer need to print tickets. Just showing the confirmation screen on my phone with no barcode is fine.
When I worked at the movie theater, that was like, as we would get near the end of the night, we would whoopsie doodle press twice on the, we called it atomic popcorn, but it was just doubling up on that also, fake butter.
I find it fascinating that Sean's like, we can order through the app, but why bother? Whereas in Los Angeles anyway, it's like, oh, we can order to the app. Thank goodness. We don't have to stand in this line. So yeah, every experience is different. Then Norm from Visalia wrote, hey, all, I know Tom mentioned you might not be coming back to What If, but I saw last week's episode, and when it ended, I immediately thought of Brian's assessment about some of the What If comics. The story was, yeah, everyone got murdered. Sometimes it goes that way. I can only imagine how he felt with episode 104's ending. Maybe you can get a few seconds of Brian saying, nah, I told you so, before doing other recaps. Regardless, good day, sirs.
I will vouch for, boy, they have really kept true to the spirit of the What If comics, because they were not all hooray, everything works out in an awesome way comics. And I'm glad that they're not doing that in the TV show either.
Also, I have to add, Norm wrote a PS. He said, I finally got around to World's Greatest Con and loved it. I know all about Operation Mincemeat, and from the intro, I thought this would be a rehash of stuff I already knew. And it was, but the way you delivered the material and added your own personal pieces really elevated it. I've let the history nerds know about it and look forward to another go-round for season 2.
Yeah, I guess if we're doing plugs, I do feel really, really good about how World's Greatest Con turned out. Please give it a listen. It's only 3.5 hours, 5 episodes long. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, over 5 hours. It's like one episode of some other podcasts.
Yeah,
spread over 5. So that's good stuff. Hey, folks, our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on twitch.tv/Night Attack. Also carried on diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk to you next time.
Hey, Tom Merritt, what's going on?
I'm just hanging out here watching this scroll go by. What are you doing?
Trying to set up a bit where we thank our beautiful, beautiful patrons, all these wonderful names.
I'm sorry, I'm too distracted looking at these beautiful, beautiful patron names going by. Look at that one. I mean, if you wanted to be one of these people, patreon.com/cordkillers would be the place to go.
I mean, they're scratching our itch, like, because we're addicted.
As long as it's consensual, like,
we're addicted to their money
and love. Might as well face it.
Well, God damn it.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.